You've probably seen those TikToks or those videos that say that France is very cheap. And yes, the tuition fee is very cheap, but actually living here is a different story. In this video, I'll break down the real cost of living in France, including the rent, food, travel, subscriptions, so you know what to expect realistically before coming here. If you're new here, hi, I'm Rhea, and I'm an MSc in finance student at Schema Business School. So let's get started. And by the way, if you're planning on moving to France, and if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed from visas to housing, or basically just to understand how everything works here, I highly recommend checking out Dimensions France. They are an incredible platform that help international students and expats with everything from choosing the right school to settling in or to navigating the French administration and even finding accommodation. Honestly, I wish I knew about them before I moved here because I would have saved so much time and stress. You can look at their services on their platform, which is dimensionsfrance.com. I'll put a link of it in the description box below so you can check it out. Whether you're coming to France for your studies or for your work, having someone guide you through this process just makes a lot of difference. So thank you so much Dimensions France for sponsoring this video. So your biggest expense is of course rent, and it really can depend on where you live. If you live in Paris, then you'll pay a minimum of 650 euros per month for a bedroom in an apartment. And if you're talking about studios, I would say that the price can start from 750 euros per month to up to 2000 euros. But if you're talking about a small studio, then the cost can be between 650 to 1000 euros for a studio that is around 18 meters square. Now in the suburbs, of course, the rent will be cheaper. You can find a bedroom for around 450 euros per month in a shared accommodation, and a studio will also be cheaper, on average around 500 euros a month. But don't forget about CAF. CAF is the housing aid that is provided by the state. It can reduce your rent by around 100 euros. It takes a lot of paperwork and a lot of patience, but it's worth it in the end. So as soon as you have your rental contract, you should apply for CAF because it can take a few weeks for your CAF to get started. Okay, next is the transportation. If you're under 26, then you have a huge reduction on your Navigo, which is your travel pass in Paris. In Paris, the Navigo pass costs around 42 euros per month with the student discount. And if you're not a student, then it costs up to 90 euros per month. And this gives you unlimited rides in the metro, the RER, buses, and trams. But in my opinion, the public transport in Paris is really good. So even if you think that 42 euros is expensive, but it's really worth it because the whole city is very well connected. Wouldn't really need a car to go anywhere. Okay, now let's talk about food and groceries. To give a general idea, groceries can cost around 150 euros. Now again, it can really depend on where you live because as I've mentioned this before, there's no MRP, so there's no maximum retail price in France. One bottle of milk in a cheaper grocery store would cost way less than the same bottle of milk in a more expensive grocery store. So places like Monoprix would be a lot more expensive than Lidl or Auchan, for example. So your grocery expense can also depend on where you live or where you shop from. If you eat outside a lot, or if you like to go to cafes and try new food, you should also set aside maybe 50 to 100 euros for this. Paris is quite expensive, so even a small cafe or a cute restaurant will be quite expensive if you do it several times per month. Also for students, there are campus cafeterias which are called the Cruise, and there they serve full meals only for €3.50. But they're only available in certain locations, so you should check your nearest one, and you can also go to eat there a few times a week to save on your expense. Now next is the health insurance. As you might know that France has free public health insurance even for international students. So if you're an international student, then you can register on Assurance Maladie for free. And once you get yourself registered, you would get your carte vitale, which is basically a health pass. Then you will get reimbursement of up to 70% of your total cost for your medical expenses. So this public insurance would cover, for example, a consultation at your general practitioner or even the pharmacy or some hospital bills as well. Since it only covers 70%, you could get a mutual, which is a private health insurance. I personally don't have a mutual, so I basically have to cover the 30% of my total cost by myself. But if you're planning on getting a mutual, then you should look at student mutuals because they're way cheaper, and some could even be partners of your business goal, and it can cost between 10 to 30 euros per month. Now let's talk about the little things like subscriptions that can really add up to your monthly expense. So your phone bill can be around 10 to 12 euros, the cheapest ones, but it can go up to 20 euros per month depending on your service provider. Then if you have Spotify, it costs around 10 euros for a student, I think. And if you have Netflix, it can also cost you around the same. Gyms in Paris can cost you around 25 to 45 euros per month depending on where you go. Gyms in Paris can be quite pricey, and if you choose the cheapest one, then be aware that it's going to be extremely crowded. You basically have to choose between money or your time. And then there's going out expense, your monthly shopping or drinks with your friends, or even a weekend trip. This can also cost you around 100 to 150 euros, really depending on your lifestyle. So here's a rough estimate of the monthly costs. It can cost you anywhere between 750 euros to 2000 euros per month, and that really depends on your lifestyle. If you go out a lot to eat or party or even shopping, then your expenses will be a lot more. If you're coming here on a budget, then you can really make it work with around 750 euros per month. So to answer your question of is France affordable for students, then I would say yes if you budget smartly, because you get access to housing aid, discounted transport, and many more subsidized options for students. But especially for the first few months, don't come here under the expectation that you'll be able to live under your budget, because the first few months you essentially spend a lot more because you don't know the right things to buy. So I hope this video gave you a realistic picture of what to expect in terms of your budget. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.